Geek Tank Radio, News Talk 98.9, the roar of Memphis.
Welcome, everyone. We are the Geek Patrol, and our microphones don't have a stun setting. This episode of Geek Tank Radio is brought to you by Kaiju Super Absorbent Diapers. Potty training a baby monster is no small task, but these are no small diapers. Avoid even further collateral damage with Kaiju Super Absorbent Diapers. I mean, Allan, this is what goes on behind the scenes when they're filming that King Kong Godzilla, movie. These are what you don't want to see on camera. Don't look at me that way, Brandon. These are an important.
No, none of our listeners are going to buy that. Why are we using these guys as sponsors?
Keeps the lights on, baby. But anyway, welcome to Geek Tank Radio, everybody. I'm Joe Thorderson here with my friends Brandon Olmstead and Allan Gilbreth, and our pal Maximilian behind the glass. Apparently, Max has been a little hush-hush about this. He's bringing a special guest in later that he's not really telling us much about. We'll see how that plays out.
I can't imagine who that would be, Brandon.
I don't know how special he is, just warning you.
Okay.
Oh, no, we know how special he is.
I saw his metavan outside.
Oh.
Yeah, he's going to be joining us later. We'll see how that plays out. But anyway, and also got fair warning, I feel like, Brandon, you weren't here. Wait.
Yeah, last week I wasn't here.
You weren't here last week. Allan and I teased that the Great British Baking Show is coming back. It's actually on episode 3. I feel like we all agree on this. It's geeky enough, or maybe it's not, but we don't care. We're going to discuss it later.
I don't care anything about the Great British Bake Off right now because Outrageous Pumpkins came back.
It did.
Yeah.
It did.
Okay. Well,
so as mine is spooky season, but yours is just feel-good happiness without all the tears.
Food geekiness. Well, at some point we'll weigh in, but somewhere down the line, because the season goes on
food
for quite
is
a while.
geeky.
I'm just letting you know.
Is seriously
what I'm telling
geeky.
you is I haven't caught up with it yet right now because my focus is elsewhere.
Yeah.
Because
Okay.
it's October.
And also later in the
Next
show,
week they're pumpkin chunking.
speaking of pumpkin chunking, Allan, you and Brandon are going to continue the Halloween theme, as you know, here on Geek Tank Radio. The entire month of October is Halloween month. If Allan and Brandon had their way, the entire from July to October would be
That's conservative.
Halloween quarter. But,
Yeah, I wouldn't start in July. I start in August.
Okay.
I end in July.
But Elizabethan mayhem. I don't know if this is the right thing. We're talking Elizabethan, Aztec, ancient Aztec themes, bizarre, happening.
The things that carry forward to our modern Halloween today.
I guess what we're not going to talk about, but I'm going to at least give a shout out. If you're a fan like me of the Netflix series Lost in Space, the final season 3. Is coming out December 1st, and boy, what a great show. I love it. Brandon said he's already bored with it, so...
I didn't finish the first season. I didn't care.
Yeah, okay.
I'm sorry.
I'm going to be the one in the middle, kind of lukewarm.
Anybody who loves it, I'm glad that you found something that you love about it. It didn't click with me.
Okay, so we'll see how that's going to play out. But before we get to any of these things, I just wanted to ask you guys something. Well, I wanted to make an observation about myself, if I may, because I think I might represent the point of view of a lot of people. Okay,
Schizophrenics.
Sort of. Okay, so I watched Dune. I should say I watched part of Dune whenever that old movie with Patrick Stewart, the old one.
Yeah,
I don't think
Jose
I could even.
Ferrer and everybody.
I was bored.
Kyle
to death,
MacLachlan,
Allan.
Sting.
Yeah.
I know you love that movie, and I know the books, people rave about the books. I know Bud, the producer for, or Bud from Motormouth, loves the books. I was bored to death, and I don't even think I finished the movie. When the new Dune, when word started coming out about the new Dune movie, I was sort of lukewarm. I just didn't care. I watched the first trailers. I didn't care. Suddenly, this final trailer comes out, and I cannot wait to see this movie. Well, what happened? Why? This trailer looks awesome.
Okay, so there's this great
what happened?
There's this great group of people called editors.
Yeah.
And they have realized that there's not a big enough buzz amongst mainstream audiences yet. So they cut a trailer that would make you happy. I'm just going to let you know the movie that you're going to see is more reminiscent of those first 2 trailers.
Okay. Well, that's my question.
We're not going to get the big chunk until the second half
because
of the movie.
Allan is,
which isn't coming out yet.
Allan is very excited about this movie.
I can't wait to see this
we're
one.
we're hard sci-fi nerds, so we're excited. But Joe, you know how we were watching Marvel series and you weren't really big into the exposition episodes where nothing happened?
It depends.
There's
Yeah.
a lot of
exposition.
exposition in Dune.
Okay.
There's a ton of exposition
Well,
in Dune.
there's a lot of drama,
And
a
what's-
lot of espionage, and a lot of setup, but not a lot of action.
And what's really great about it is that now that he's gonna, that Villeneuve is doing this full on thing, you're gonna get all the melodrama of Dune before you get to the action.
I can't see.
See,
but
we're
that's-
excited about it.
Oh,
Yeah,
That's
but see,
that's our thing. That's not a mainstream audience thing.
I'm one of the few in like the Phantom Menace or these others Star Wars prequels. I liked the political intrigue.
Yeah.
I liked seeing how Palpatine was scheming and
True.
stuff. So if there's some of that, I'm not objecting. to
True,
that.
but what you're going to get here, this is, like I said, it's hard sci-fi. It is very political in nature.
right.
You are going to, it's not, the only reason that it'll get a second half is because there's going to be enough people who finally will watch it through HBO Max that they will want the second half.
Okay. All right. Cool. Well, we'll be keeping our eyes out, and we'll definitely be reporting in. It comes out. Dune comes out October 22nd, so it's right around
Yes,
the
it
corner.
does.
What else is right around the corner is our next segment. That's a stupid segue. You're listening to
You're
Geek
not good
Tank
at that.
Radio here on News Talk 98.9, The Roar of Memphis. We're going to take a quick break and then talk about Elizabethan mayhem.
Geek Tank Radio.
Hey, we've done heroic things too.
Yeah, in the third season, I kissed Shatner.
News Talk 98.9, The Roar of Memphis.
And welcome back to Geek Tank Radio. I'm Joe Thorderson here with my friends Brandon Olmstead and Allan Gilbreth and our pal Max behind the glass. I guess was that a Futurama rejoinder there? I think I
don't
know.
know, but this is where I get to call an audible. Since she said Shatner, let's talk about the big bad bill for about 2 minutes.
All right, well, you're cutting into your segment. You go for it.
It's
sir.
quite all right, but
Okay.
come on, man,
Well,
guy's 90. He's going into space. If
wonder
we
what
don't
that's
say
like.
this on Geek Tank Radio, who else will? Oh
Yeah.
my gosh.
Well, I don't think anybody else will say it on Geek Tank Radio.
That's true.
I hope not. But it is pretty noteworthy.
I mean, come on, guys. He's 90. He's going into space.
And he's going to find something dangerous on the wing.
William
Hey,
Shatner.
I had to keep it Halloweeny.
Isn't he? Now that you're saying this, Alan, I see a real similarity between William Shatner and Gene Simmons. They say what you will about them. They know how to get attention, or they know how to. I don't know what. Just.
I was going to say, so do the Kardashians. That's not necessarily a good thing.
I'm just saying. So, but I mean, it is sort of poetic, I guess. And the fact that he's from the original Star Trek, which was highly influenced by the space program,
Everything.
and the space program was highly motivated by Star Trek.
Yeah.
So it is kind
It's
of
full circle
full circle.
somehow. It's all very poetic, but all I gotta say is, man, just way to go.
What does Patrick Stewart have to say? Like, is he jealous? Is he wanting to get in on
I haven't
this?
heard a peep out of anybody.
All right.
Everybody is just, we're all going, he's 90.
Yeah.
Let's ship him up and let him have the experience. And I mean, how'd you like to be the guy flying that boat with the original Captain Kirk on board?
I mean,
Yeah.
right now,
That's just awesome.
Patrick Stewart is filming season 3 of Picard because seasons 2 and 3 are a two-parter, and he's playing with his pit bulls. I mean,
Okay.
this is a guy who he rescues pit bulls. I mean,
And makes whiskey commercials.
why does he doesn't care if Shatner's going to space.
No, but it is cool, and I mean, he had a great quote
Yeah.
too. What was his big media quote that he said?
It was, I hope I don't see a gremlin on the wing.
See, there you go.
Come on, that's just...
Yeah, nothing about the
we've all done a million conventions between the three of us. Good Lord, how many conventions have we done? I've even
I
been
don't
to
wanna
conventions that Shatner was at. I've never met the man. I've never even seen him in a hallway. But all I got to say is just fair play, man. Awesome.
I did see him at Dragon Con across the room. He was actually in a coat check closet signing autographs. I guess they needed separation so he didn't get mobbed. But I was like, there's William Shatner over there signing. It's a weird thing, people. When you do go to a convention, it's just weird seeing these people that you've seen in movies and TV. And
There
they're
they
just sitting
are,
right there.
being real people.
But think of the footage that's going to come out of this mission.
Oh.
What is this mission? Is it a mission or is it just some trip?
He goes up, he circles, he comes down.
Okay. How long is he going to actually be up there, you think? Like 20 minutes or something? Or
90 minutes, somewhere
Something
around
like
in
Oh,
there.
that's pretty good.
He's
man.
making one full tour and coming back down. So
Wow. Pretty exciting. Well, hats off, Captain Kirk.
And that's all I gotta say. It's just I just had to do the shout out and say fair play, man.
Knowing
Hey,
Shatner, he's
awesome.
going to get up there, take a nap, and come home.
If you're 90 and you're in the shape to do that at all anyway,
come
you're
on.
still above ground. Good for you.
Yeah.
So,
All right. Well, last week I'm gonna shift gears on you. Look at Joe and go. Last week, Joe, you wanted to know all about the veil.
well,
The
explain.
thinning of the veil. Let's get into the Halloween spirit. And we spent a great deal of the show talking about what it was like in October in, Middle Europe, all across the temperate zone, because the seasons are changing, the world is shifting, everything's moving into harvest season.
It was one of the few times in the year you could have seen someone like me.
Yeah. Well, it's just
Because the veil is separated.
in the natural order of things, nature is changing. It creates a sense of urgency. There's a crispness. The spiritual veil thins a little bit too. You're talking about. So
Ooh, I love that word he just used, Brandon. I love directed spiritual.
you
like,
feel
all
more
right.
connected to the dead.
All
Thus,
right. Well,
All Hallows Eve.
It's funny he says connected to the dead.
Yeah, I know how to set things up.
It's
All right.
almost like he's setting you up for a story.
I don't know
he's
how to
trying to get me
segue, but I
there.
can do this.
Yeah, all right. Well, congratulations. The boat has pulled in. We're going to talk about
Okay.
we're going to talk about a man named John Dee.
Okay.
You've probably
man.
never heard of him in history, but John Dee was a very powerful figure in history. He had a lot to do with bringing Queen Elizabeth I to power.
Okay.
He was a big dude when it came to astronomy, alchemy, mathematics. He was, as they would say, a polymath. This guy was well learned.
What era? What years are we talking?
We're talking like 1556, 1558, somewhere around in that era. And as a matter of fact, he was the owner of the largest library in Great Britain.
Okay, now we're talking.
So, dude had some books, dude had some pull, and he was hanging out with Queen Elizabeth. And one of the things that he was a big advisor to her on was the fact that he had, you're going to love this, a Obsidian scrying mirror.
Time out real quick, Alan. Was this before or after the invention of the printing press? I find that relevant. Okay,
During.
because books were still a big deal. If you owned books, that was a treasure.
This was a giant deal.
Okay.
A lot of the books in this library would make you rich beyond the dreams of avarice today.
Okay.
Most of them would have been monk hand copied.
Wow. Yeah. Okay. But this mirror, this is an obsidian mirror. So you're talking about a piece of stone that is so shiny and reflective.
We're not even talking about a piece of
mirror.
stone. We're talking about a piece of volcanic glass.
Okay. All right.
So glass made by a volcano. Traditionally, it is black or occasionally swept or speckled with other minerals.
Right.
And they're not really well known in Europe. Obsidian's kind of not a European thing.
South America.
Ooh. So who was hanging out in South America around 1580?
Well, you were.
Yep.
Doing all those human sacrifices and everything like that.
Welcome to Cortez.
Okay. Yeah.
Cortez was the one hanging around over there, and the conquistadors were doing their thing. But it wasn't quite as cut and dried as we like to think about it in history, because there was quite a bit of trade going on back then also.
Okay.
And the fact that Cortez got over there and he got kind of tied up with something called Tezcatlipoca, which was the smoking mirror.
Ooh.
AKA mirrors that came out of volcanoes.
There's something really cool about that, too. I mean, you think of volcanoes, you associate it with death and rebirth, right? I mean,
And the Aztecs were such peaceful people.
Oh, yeah, they were great. Yeah. Yeah, go hang out with those.
Best neighbors ever.
Yeah.
So here is old John, and he has these spectacular obsidian mirrors.
I mean, it's so is that stuff strong? Because I'm just wondering how you carve out a mirror. I mean,
This is not easy.
because you got to make it thin enough. But then,
obsidian in the Americas was sharper, if you made it right, was sharper than razor blades.
Sure, I could picture that. Yeah.
I mean, it's glass. It's a volcanic glass. So here are these beautiful mirrors that Cortez was having made or was trading for out of the Aztec culture and shipping them back to Europe.
So these
Because
were a hot item.
Well, the practice of the day was scrying.
What's that?
Scrying was meditating into. Now, keep in mind, mirrors weren't very popular. Mirrors weren't common then either.
This is pre-glass, right?
I mean,
We didn't have like glass windows or things
we
like that.
did, but rich people did.
Okay.
We were still stealing glass makers from each other.
Okay, I gotcha.
Rich people. This was the whole Da Vinci of. Brandon, you're very good at making hockey masks. So I'm a rich person, so I'm going to purchase you and put you up in an estate, and you're going to make me hockey mask.
Oh, there you
You
go.
had patrons.
Right.
Sweet.
So
Like artists had patrons.
That was
and all
exactly. And people stole each other's artist.
right. Okay.
I mean, to the point of military conflict. They would Duke 1 wanted Duke 2's stuff, so he would go over and steal them.
there was stuff going on like that with Mozart.
Yes.
He worked for the archbishop. He worked for the emperor. He was basically, but more or less, yeah.
He was somebody's,
Right.
You're kind of like the giant pet. This is how you knew you were wealthy and powerful, is when you could afford really smart or talented people.
Yeah. Okay.
So here's John, and he's over here with these spirit mirrors and the art of crystal ball gazing or scrying into a mirror or an Aztec obsidian mirror
Right.
was a lot of how advice was given.
Oh, gosh.
It was the magic 8-ball of their day.
It was the magic 8-ball. So here's Queen Elizabeth I rising to power by advice given to her by a really rich, really smart guy looking in mirrors.
Oh, boy. And it's just like in Snow White, right?
Exactly.
Magic mirror on the wall. That's where it must have came from.
Well,
Something like that.
that's exactly. But I mean, could you imagine seeing an obsidian mirror? I'll have to bring some obsidian in for Joe. I don't think Joe's even seen obsidian before.
Not in a mirror shape, but I'm just picturing
course,
what that looks like.
You
too.
know Allan's got it in his basement.
Yeah.
Well, I've got one on my shelf. I got a huge scrying ball.
I mean, here in the studio,
Seriously.
Alan, we've got a TV monitor, which is it looks black, but with the reflection there, I wonder
Yeah.
if it's a similar effect.
It is
because
exactly a similar
I'm
effect.
picturing you're going to imagine shadows, especially if you're by candlelight. You're going to see all sorts of squirrely things that may or may not be there.
And
TV Land Joe, who can actually do a segue.
Yeah. So I mean, but this is interesting. So this was it's interesting a crossover between Victorian sensibilities and some of these brutal kind of ancient Aztec ways. So we're gonna keep unpacking that. Very interesting, Alan. You've stimulated thought. Well, we hope we're stimulating thought here on Geek Tank Radio, a News Talk 98.9, The Roar of Memphis. Even if we're not, you can have your money back, I suppose. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back.
Geek Tank Radio.
As a jock, it is my duty to give nerds a hard time.
News Talk 98.9, The Roar of Memphis.
And welcome back to Geek Tank Radio. I'm Joe Thorderson here with my friends Brandon Olmstead and Alan Gilbreth and our pal Max behind the glass, who's being very hush-hush. There's a big, he put up like one of those sunscreen things on the window, so I can't see who's in there with him. Apparently, we've got a special guest dropping in shortly, but Max is...
You don't feel
he's
that
not wanting to
tingle
tell
in
us.
the back of your hair?
Yeah, I have suspicions.
Wait, you don't have any hair on the back of your neck.
Okay. Anyway, hey, but I want to remind everybody too. If you miss any of Geek Tank Radio, never fear. Well, for one thing, also let me make a double reminder. We want you to join us on our Facebook page. Go to Geek Tank Radio on Facebook. Join us. Become part of the crew. And also, while you're over there, make sure you follow the Memphis Comic and Fantasy Convention, because that's coming up November 12th through 14th. There'll be regular updates, and it's a good way to stay up to date on everything going on with that. We're feverishly making our plans. It looks like we're going to go forward. We're going to take all the necessary precautions, right, Brandon?
Oh, yeah,
Everybody will be safe, but we're used to this stuff anyway. People are just ready to cut loose and geek out.
And yes, our plans are changing by the day, as you have noticed by following our Facebook page. Every time we turn around, something new and hopefully exciting is going to happen.
A lot of exciting things. I'd say 90% of it's exciting. About 10% might have disappointing news, depending on what developments happen. But it's not.
I'll admit there was some sad news that came out in the past few weeks, but I'm pressing forward. I'm gonna try my best to give you guys a good show.
Yeah, so check that out. And Brand, it's not just your show. All of us contribute. Listen to this ego.
No. I'm just saying that my part. I'm trying my best to make sure that you guys are happy.
Okay.
If the
whole team.
If the Joe part and the Allan part fall, that's on them.
Okay. Hey, Allan, before the break, we were talking about, in keeping with our Halloween theme, we were talking about some of the Elizabethan traditions of using ancient Aztec, mirror gazing into obsidian, things like that. But I have to be honest, Allan, I don't see the connection between that and Halloween.
I just want to say,
illuminate.
I didn't get a chance to during the last segment, but I do want to say that using scrying mirrors it's a whole lot better than using lobbyists. just putting it out there.
Isn't that interesting?
I would rather the evil spirits tell me how to run my country.
Isn't that something that think of how many lives and how much history is hinged on just the advice of a select few, and you wonder where they're coming up with that advice. So.
They're flipping that coin.
Yeah.
Well, welcome to politics. No one said it made sense.
But Allan, how does this connect to Halloween?
All right. So how do we get this to Halloween? So All Hallows Eve is allegedly we're going to pick on the Celtic tradition because that's kind of the center of the one we practice in the U.S.
Right.
Okay.
So we've got Samhain, we've got the harvest. We've already talked about setting the stage for all this. Now we're getting into society. Okay. So we already know
Don't look up that movie. I'm just going to tell our audiences, don't watch that movie unless you really want to be disturbed.
Okay.
Here we go. We got Shakespeare out there writing plays, digging up people's skulls and talking to them and being visited by the ghost of dead fathers. And we've discovered South America.
Yeah.
Which means we've now got, tomatoes and different kinds of corn and some other weird little plant.
Okay.
Cacao.
Okay, I see where you're
There's
going.
a major. That's a major important part.
Yeah,
of,
we'll skip the whole
altering.
We'll skip the whole tobacco version of and all the other drugs like cocaine.
Yeah, we're gonna go with the important part, the chocolate.
Let's get in here. So here's the new world. Here's the new people. Here's the new foods.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
And a lot of these are kind of fall stuff we're tied to now.
Right.
Just think of what would Europe have been like if they had never discovered South American potatoes?
Oh, is that where they came from?
Yes.
I didn't know that.
Yes.
Because, potatoes are known for Ireland, which is a totally different climate than South America.
It's not where they came from.
Okay.
Yeah. So welcome to the culture shocks hitting all around the world as the trading ships and all of this get to moving around. And the natural order of the world is still greatly so here we have John Dee, one of the most powerful intellectual men in England. And to him, spiritualism, alchemy, and science are all still one and the same.
Right.
So we're still looking in mirrors for advice. We're still looking for the alchemical way of converting lead to gold. We're still experimenting and moving all this stuff around.
Right.
As they love to say, what's the difference between blowing stuff up and science? Well, in science, you write it down. So here we go. And we're going to come forward because we're going to walk all the way up to the Victorian era. So we're just pre-us.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
We're just pre-us, and even people like Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, better known for
Sherlock
Holmes. He was a huge spiritualist.
And he was friends with Harry Houdini.
And he was friends with, yes. So, so here we have all of this has now come full forward.
And one observation, because I do know a little bit about that era, that's when Egyptian... I guess you could
Egyptian
say spirituality,
mania.
Egyptian mania, because they were discovering King Tut's tomb, all this stuff. But all these, all like Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, all of them were greatly influenced by what was going on with Egyptian sensibilities, you could say. So
There were even mummy parties
yeah,
where, I mean, people don't understand how much stuff got swiped out of Egypt.
sure.
So massive amounts of influences here and there, and now it's fall. And in a bizarre Victorian tradition has kicked in, but besides photography, which got invented during this time. So there's a lot of photography with the dead. So dear Uncle Joe passes away. So nephew Brandon poses Uncle Joe in his best for family photos before we finally plant him.
Well, it's the one time that Uncle Joe's going to stay still long enough for a photo in that time.
Or wear pants. So, yeah.
You know, so welcome to these strange things. And one of the huge traditions they had was the Victorian scary Christmas story.
Okay, we're finally getting somewhere I can relate. Okay, so you're talking about we're talking about like the three ghosts that visit
We're
ghosts of
talking
Christmas past of
the
Christmas.
most popular
The
and most
Christmas
famous
Carol,
of which
man.
Yeah.
boom,
The Christmas
a
Carol.
Christmas Carol.
Okay.
But it's a scary story. It's a ghost story.
Yes.
And all of this actually starts at harvest time. Because that's when the parties start. That's when the punch starts flowing and people start having food, and we're moving into the season of death. And now we're kind of cranking here.
That's when that fruit you've harvested has fermented, and Allan starts serving it to everybody.
Well,
So
that's a big part of it.
Yeah.
Huh. It's just, I'm just sitting here thinking, you've given us a lot to chew on, Alan. We're talking ancient Aztecs, we're talking Egyptians, we're talking all of the nature coalescing, but there's just something magical about October, let's face it.
But my point is, none of this happened in a vacuum.
Right.
This is now all around the world, all these different cultures, all these different places, all these different people are now fundamentally colliding in 1 month.
Yep. I'm not changing the subject. This is just this is an observation as you're saying this, Alan. I don't think, okay, Christmas has been ruined. It's commercialized. It's all about shopping. The spirit of Christmas, in my opinion, personally, has been ruined. I think the spirit of Halloween has endured. Like, I still think that people, like, I enjoy Halloween as much as I did when I was 5 years old. Like, I don't know. Am I wrong? I know it's a little bit commercial, but still,
You're absolutely not
there.
wrong. There is something magical about Halloween in and of itself, just because it's not necessarily a family holiday.
Maybe there's
It
something.
is
you
a,
might be onto something.
It is a community holiday. It is a societal holiday.
Okay, you know what, Brandon? That's a very good insight. Man, that's something to think about. You party differently on Halloween.
Oh, yeah.
It's a group. You're trick or treating. You're interacting with your neighbors. You're doing that.
Well,
that might
Halloween
be
is
it.
also the acceptance of the balance between good and bad in the world.
Yeah.
And Halloween is all about
It's the moment when Charles Xavier and Magneto can hang out.
Right.
It's when Batman and the Joker both have the same goal.
Yeah.
I'm putting it into your comic style.
when Ninja Turtles can walk the street.
This is cool. So wait,
Yes.
today is let's see, today's the 9th. We got 3 more weeks to talk Halloween. So what day does Halloween fall on this year?
It falls on a Sunday, which means that we will have an episode of Geek Tank Radio on the 30th.
Okay.
Beforehand, which means
Because we have not exhausted. We've really just hit the tip of the iceberg.
We're just getting going good.
You know, you do learn a lot talking about Halloween. You learn about history. It's just
It's utterly fascinating. It is one of the true collision melting pot holidays around the world.
Yes.
Absolutely. So, and if you've got any
And that
Halloween,
melting pot is full of chocolate.
yeah, if you've got Halloween feelings or Halloween stories or anything, share those. Go to
we need the pictures.
Go to Geek Tank Radio Facebook page. Share us. Share it over there. Let us know your feelings. Well, I'm afraid to know what's coming when we come back. Max is going to unveil his special guest, and we'll see how that plays out.
You don't sense that evil?
You're listening to Geek Tank Radio here on News Talk 98.9 The Roar of Memphis. We'll be right back.
Although I strongly advise against your doing so, you're listening to Geek Tank Radio on News Talk 98.9. Hey!
Geek Tank Radio, News Talk 98.9, The Roar of Memphis.
And welcome back to Geek Tank Radio. I'm Joe Thorderson here with my friends Brandon Olmstead and Allan Gilbreth and our buddy Max behind the glass. And Brandon, clearly you didn't lock the door.
Well, I mean,
thanks, man. You were in here last.
Hey! I expected him to honor the restraining order.
Buzz, man, that is a blast from the past. Well, hey guys, before we introduce this Max's special guest, let me just say one of the things we're going to begin pushing, Brandon. I think we're going to make a point of this.
Okay.
One of the segments we're most proud of from the old days, and I got to give Brandon full credit. It was the Bad Geek Confession.
Uh-huh.
And it's time to resurrect that baby, because some of our funnest material came from the Bad Geek Confession. I agree.
Plus, it gave me a chance to give away passes to the MCFC.
Well, and it's emotionally healing. I know sometimes if I did something wrong or if I failed as a geek and I just put it out there on the air, I feel better
when
afterwards.
You have to unburden yourself of the horrible, hot takes you've had in the past.
Yeah, I mean, I'm all for it. And one of the great things too, this time of year, if you do share a Bad Geek Confession with us, which we strongly encourage, send it to geektankradio@gmail.com. Send it that way. That's the best. Yeah. And if we read your Bad Geek Confession on the air, you win 2 free passes to the Memphis Comic and Fantasy Convention, an $80 value. That's nothing to sneeze at.
Right.
They can just go to geektankradio.com, click on contact, and fill out your message form.
Absolutely. We're easy to get in touch with. Don't put it on Facebook, because then everybody sees it.
And
it defeats the whole point.
Don't send us an instant message.
Yeah, and if we read it on the air, someone's going to go, oh, they don't deserve that. I've already read that. And
yeah.
It's like,
So we're on the hunt. We want these, and when we start doing our personal appearances, we'll have the Bad Geek Confession bucket out there. So start sending those in. Yeah. Well, Max, you've got a Bad Geek Confession, and so we're going to kick off this Bad Geek Confession, era with Max's. And the good thing is we don't have to give him a free pass because he gets in free anyway. Talk to me, Max.
All right, so I'm going to confess that in my teenage years, I was a little bit of... I loved...
3 weeks ago?
Yes. I loved to spoil stuff for people when it came to... Well, just let's take, for example, during the Harry Potter book release party for book 7, I made every effort to go to the last page and just, read all the spoilers and just get it out there. Just get everything out there.
Oh, you creep. Really?
Yeah.
That's shocking, Max. I wouldn't have pictured you as one of those guys. But Brandon, we know those guys. I remember when the book 7 came out.
We definitely know those guys.
I got the audio book and I disappeared from society for 3 days while I binge listened to it. But Max, so you're the one out there on the internet telling everybody that Fred died. Oh, I guess I gave a spoiler too.
If it's a spoiler at this point, they weren't going to read it anyway.
I'm sorry at this point. That's called history.
Okay.
Not a spoiler.
Well, Max, are you properly ashamed of that, or are you still doing this?
I'd say every now and then something leaks out. Like, for example, I was on Nation and Jake the other day subbing for Bud the producer, and something kind of came out about, Agatha Harkness and stuff like that. So, but I won't go into it now. I'll restrain myself.
Again, considering the fact that her secret ended up being a top hit song.
Yeah.
I don't consider that a spoiler anymore.
Leading to her own show. So Max, I suspect there's other people out there that probably have this deficiency or this proclivity, and
we called them jerks.
But Max,
that's not to say they can't be redeemed.
As they walk through the room and go, "That's a shame, Bob's gonna die," and walk out.
Right. But Max, you've got a special guest in the booth with you to help us through this, and this is a man we haven't seen in years. And
that's because he's not allowed in the same room with us anymore.
Introduce us, Max. Who do you got there with you?
I don't really consider him special, but his name is Dr. Judgementor.
He is special.
Dr. Judgementor. Hey, welcome, Doctor. We haven't talked to you in quite a while.
Doctor.
Doctor.
Okay. All right. Well, tell us your thoughts on Max's terrible Bad Geek Confession about spoiling everything for us.
Well, I will say, from the Elizabethan heckler of the Shakespeare's plays to the trolls of social media, there have always existed, in one form or another, those who seek to disrupt our natural desire for surprise and suspense. The official term to describe such behavior is obsessive spoiler sadism syndrome, or, as we experts call it, O-triple-S.
I think I drank some of that O-triple-S the other day. So. O-triple-S, huh?
It does not come in coliform.
Okay. Tell us more about this, sir.
Well, its symptoms are fairly self-explanatory, but if left unchecked, OSSS has a latent potentiality to become the looming iceberg of cynicism that tears into the very Titanic of geekdom, plunging its shattered hull into the depths to rust and disintegrate at the bottom of a cold, dispassionate underwater tomb.
Yeah, I remember Dr. Judgementor. Now you're very prone to dramatics, and I mean I got to give you credit. That was a well-crafted sentence, but it's that serious, huh? OSSS, obsessive
spoiler sadism syndrome.
Okay, all right, go on, sir. This is.
I just went. All right. You know what? I go through this every day when I log on to Facebook. So.
Yeah. I hang out on Twitter. I've seen it all.
Okay.
Well, the good news for you gentlemen is that there are plenty of cures out there, and such cures include isolation and ample distractions. And fortunately for Harry Potter fans back in the day, Maximilian was quickly confined to his parents' basement and given a non-lethal dose of video games and mindless television.
Okay. Did that work, Max? I mean, did that...
I'm also pretty sure that he slipped something into my Coca-Cola that night, too.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So Max, okay, I don't know, Doctor. I mean, do you I guess Max sounds like he's in recovery mode, but maybe you need to speak to those out there that they just enjoy this type of thing, man.
Zuckerberg is calling.
I got a conspiracy theory I need to talk to you off air about, Allan.
Okay. I don't know, Max. I mean, Max, tell me about your experience with Dr. Judgementor.
I don't really want to go on. I don't want to. I'm just thinking of the long hallways at Petty Nitpickin' Wines, and I don't want to go there right now.
Okay.
Well, he's having a cheese flashback. He doesn't want to go there. No.
All right. Well, we're doing this in reverse. We probably should have better introduced Dr. Judgementor. There's a counseling firm called Petty Nitpickin' Wines who's been a big supporter of Geek Tank Radio.
No, they haven't.
That's one way of putting it.
The reason he got a restraining order is because he wouldn't pay his sponsor bill.
Well, they deal with geek psychosis, and basically there's all sorts of geek-related problems that need a trained specialist, such as, I mean, we've dealt with them in the past. In fact, I think we should start posting some of these, Allan, on our Spotify
I still
account.
don't think he's actually a doctor there. I think he's a patient.
Okay.
I'm fairly certain he's an escapee.
All right.
Really
Doctor, do you have any reaction to this?
No reactions, but I would like to catch your audience up to speed as to what I was doing in my absence.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because it's been like 5 years since we've talked to you. So.
Torturing his child?
And what have you been up to, Doctor?
Now, first, Brandon, I have been hearing rumors that in passing you have been calling Maximilian my son, and I must say that I find your theory both crass and inaccurate.
Yeah, I'm sorry. It's true.
Well, for you maybe, but fortunately for the world, I ain't Siggy's son.
Okay.
How dare you address me by my first name on the air, you uncouth ruffian?
Do we need to get in there and divide these?
No, I'm standing here.
Sounds like daddy issues to me.
Okay. I don't know, man. It's it's getting weird in here.
And I mean,
I'm gonna have to go check that basement door.
Sure.
I gotta put better locks on it.
I got my degree on the University of YouTube, but
Okay. I don't know, Max. Max, you're the one that brought this guy in.
I didn't really bring him in. He just kind of walked in, and I just sort of turned down the shades on the glass.
I guess we've got to fire Max now.
Okay.
Well, that's okay. I know how to perform an exorcism. It's okay.
You got a scrying ball.
I do.
Well, I will say this. Dr. Judgementor, I remember back in the day, I think this was around 2015, he was so fascinated. He'd been away from conventions for quite a while, as I remember, and he went on tour, and he began touring different conventions and developing a thesis, I guess, for all the, identifying all of the geek psychosis out there, and then the big challenge is to come up with remedies for some. I believe, Doctor, you did come up with quite a few solutions for some of these terrible maladies. Is that right?
That is correct, Joe, but that is a discussion for another day.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, because I thought what he came up with rhymed with theses.
Yeah. All right. Well, I don't know, man. Let's just turn the corner. Doctor, I guess we're going to be hearing from you in the near future, but
I'll have to get that door fixed.
Yeah, folks, if you're out there and you have a bad geek confession, I think, honestly, I think it's at least Max is in recovery mode, right? You're not ruining things for everybody else, are you?
He ruined a day for me.
I try not to, but like I said, every now and then you get one of those Freudian slips.
Okay, so don't follow Max on social media. Don't go to the don't let him tell you about the movie he went and saw on opening day or anything.
I'm not allowed on social media anymore. The doctor's got me on that sort of prescription.
Okay, all right. Well,
that's good.
It's probably also not allowing you to go to movies until they've been out a week.
Good point. All right, well, Doctor, thanks for coming in. We'll be seeing you in the near future.
I wish I could say the pleasure was all mine, Joe.
All right, get out of here. Shut the door, Max. Get him out of here. So, hey, before we get out of here, guys, I got a question for you. I don't even know if this is a philosophical. I don't know if this is cultural. I don't know what this is, Brandon, but I'm looking at you. Okay, we were talking about this the other day. Let's face it. Before the pandemic, we were, Johnny on the spot. If a Star Wars movie, if a Marvel movie, if a DC movie, any science fiction movie, I dare say I even saw Jupiter Ascending.
You did.
In the theaters. Any movie like that came out.
That's because you're a masochist.
Well, I bought into a bad trailer. But anyway, a trailer that looked better than it was. But anyway, Brandon, what I'm wondering is, since the pandemic and since we had 2020 basically keep us out of movie theaters for like a good 18 months, now that the movies have come back, I don't know if I'm out of the habit or whatever, but I missed Venom 2. Right. I missed Shang-Chi. I plan on seeing him, but I don't know. What's going on, man? Did 2020 ruin it?
I would like to blame it on the pandemic in 2020, but dude, I never saw Far From Home in theaters. After Endgame, I just felt that everything I'd invested in being at movies on opening night or the night before at sneak preview, it just kind of went away.
Yeah, I hope it's going to come back. I know Allan's rubbing his hands together because he thinks movie theaters are obsolete.
I honestly don't know that I want it to come back. I felt obsessed back then, and I feel free now.
I don't know. I think this is a tease because I think we have to unpack this in a future show. But there's no time. Time waits for no one.
Blame Judgementor.
So we're out of here. This has been another action-packed episode of Geek Tank Radio. So until next week, we are the Geek Patrol, and I am Joe Thorderson.
I'm Allan Gilbreth.
I'm Dr. Judgementor.
And I am Brandon Olmsted, daring you to contact Petty Nitpicking Wines and give them your bad geek confession.